This is your WW3 news of a Friday evening. Andrej, Commissioner of the European Union, has said Europe sooner or later going to have to reintroduce the draft or military service or the conscription otherwise. Like in some countries like Finland, there are people, reservists they call them, called up to the age of 65. I wonder why. Because there's not enough young people filling these ranks. The population's getting old, that's why they have to call the pensioners Dad's Army or something like that. And most European countries are reintroducing it and readopting it in some form or another. Denmark, a military service for both, whether you're a man or a woman. And even ex-Baltic states like Lithuania, which they have reintroduced it, I think it's next year. Why this reintroduction of military service? Are we going to war? Well, the fearmongers between the politicians and the military has been saying in the last 2 years. Anyway, in Europe we go, we have to fight Russia, we need a draft, we need to discipline young people, stories like that. Because only after the so-called NATO and Russian conflict, Ukraine's just a proxy to fight wars for part of the NATO. And obviously last year, the so-called rearm of Europe, which are going to spend around about 800 billion euros to modernise their defence systems. And currently Europe spends around about 2.5%. Now they're going to have to boost it up to 5%. And obviously, for example, here in Italy, the military has ordered more than 1,000 new tanks, which the first 6 of them has been already delivered already to replace the aging ones, they say. And then after, it's got to talk about missile systems to protect the country and stuff like that. The problem is, with the current missile defence system technology, it doesn't protect you from hypersonic missiles, which the so-called enemy has, which we have seen in the battlegrounds of Ukraine and even the Middle East. The Iranians have this type of technology as well, and where they know where to hit, these type of missiles are fast and deadly, and you won't know what's will come. And how, with this type of model they currently have, are going to fight a war with them in the future? It's absolutely ridiculous. You're going to get absolutely slaughtered. Because you think using a defence system like a radar and these missiles, which are, they call it sublight technology, these things, they travel at the speed of Mach 10 on average. Not just conventional missiles, even vectors which can even carry nuclear warheads or warheads of any other type, like EMP, for example, chemical weapons, bacteriological. So if they're thinking they're going to be battle ready within a few years, like some French intel said, we're going to get to war with Russia in 2028. Thing is, you're going to have to put the whole, what you would call it, European economy into war mode and start producing these things. Because to produce them at this pace is impossible. Like Trump said to the motor industry in America, GM Ford says you're going to have to start producing military vehicles like tanks, trucks, and God knows what else. That means slowly we're going to be dragged into a war. And it won't be a war which 80 years ago or more the world was a victim of. This time around is technological. There are drones which can be used instead of use of manned vehicles. Could be a solution that's would have been already currently used in the recent years. It's been proven very efficient on the battleground, and a lot more economical if you would have an equivalent, manned equivalent, you should say. But there's you don't have destroyed a very expensive piece of hardware, which could be a tank or a plane or any other military device or weapon you use. There are a few countries in Europe which you'll start probably producing a system which is called LEAP, which is a abbreviation of a disposable cheap drones for reconnaissance or type of kamikaze missions, and this is only the beginning. And obviously these things, they're a part for the big build-up for a future war.